How you doing, Coach? Good. What y'all got today?
So, 2013, you were here. First game of that season. Tell me about the atmosphere then and how excited you are for tomorrow.
Well, it was a fun app back then. That was Jameis's first game he ever started, and for me as a head coach, was excited. Felt like we had something really special, but at the same time, you're nervous till they ever take it to the field. It doesn't matter, and he took it that day. I think 25 or 27 for about 324 and 4 touchdowns, and one was actually inbounds. They called out of bounds. The other they threw away, so he played almost a perfect game. My worry that day was trying to block Aaron Donald on the other side. And what happened in that, it was funny in that game. We had a starting guard. Trey Jackson was a third-round pick, a really good player, and he got hurt like the first series. So we had to play a backup guard on Aaron Donald that night. He had a sack, but we had to make sure we doubled and played down. That's what I remember about it, making sure Aaron Donald didn't kill James.
What was the strategy going into there? How did you dream up how to block Aaron Donald?
Well, we did, but at that time we had a really good offense. Our whole offensive line played in the NFL. They were all top 3-round draft picks. We had the Remington Award winner. We had both guards that went in the 3rd round, a 1st-round tackle, a 4th-round tackle. So I mean, we didn't mind some one-on-ones at times, but we always were aware if he got hot, we had plans to be able to double him and do what we had to do. And we had the national championship team that year. That team was, if you look in the time, it's the most dynamic team in NCAA history. It's the biggest point differential ever. Number 1 offense, number 1 defense in the country that year. So we were pretty good too. So we blocked some good guys in practice, so it helped us a little bit. But still, none of them are Aaron Donald, that's for sure.
There is a ton of excitement surrounding this game. Of course, huge implications on both sides, on both teams. From a coaching perspective, how are you teeing up, or how are you talking to your guys in hoping to get to this win from a Notre Dame perspective and from a Pitt perspective?
Well, I mean, you got to put it one game at a time, but you got to respect your opponent. You understand that Pitt, since they made the change in Mason Heintschel, I mean, guys playing as good as anybody in the country. And I think C.J. Carr is as good as anybody in the country. I think you got 2 unbelievable freshman quarterbacks in a game that is going to be dynamic because both have playmakers. I mean, the thing that Notre Dame has, Love, I recruited Love. We were one of the finalists for him when I was at A&M. I mean, the guy is dynamic. I mean, he can run the football, he can catch, he's a great human being. They got the other back, Price. I mean, they're just a electric team, and Carr really, people didn't think he could move like he moves. I think he is a much better athlete than people give him credit for, and he makes all the throws, and he's got that, I always call it coach DNA. When you've been around the ball as a little kid, like with his grandfather and things, it's not that his grandfather makes you a better player, but the information you gather that you don't even know you're gathering, about how to do things, how to act, how to handle situations, I think you see translating guys like that. Coaches' sons, you see that a lot. And I think it does with him for sure because he's a very talented guy, but he also plays the game at a very high mental level for a young guy, cerebral level for a young guy. And they're fun to watch. I mean, they're a dynamic team. Heintschel on the other side, if you went to the combine, his arm talent is very good, but he may not be the fastest, biggest, strongest until the lights come on. You put a game together. And I always say that's what you can combine these quarterbacks all you want. Can they throw, run? But when the game plays on, it's 11 on 11. The ability to process information at a high level and also feel things in the game. I always say quarterbacks read coverage, feel pressure. In the pocket. You can't look at rushes. You can't do things. When your eyes start going down, you need to take that quarterback and set him on the bench because he'll never be able to play. This guy has such an instinct to play the game, and he feels people around him. He knows when to run. He knows, and the down and distance. Both guys are very highly intellectual for young players. That's what's fun to watch. Me as an old quarterback guy and an offensive guy, you can do a lot with these young guys. Now, Pitt's receivers, Rivers, and those guys are dynamic. And then you add Desmond Reed to it, who can do whatever he wants to do. They got so many weapons on offense. It's fun to watch. And since he's been there, you've seen what they've done. I mean, they've outscored him. And the thing I like about Heintschel, he's done when he has made mistakes, like in the end of the first half against Florida State, when Florida State got back ahead of him, come out second half, didn't even phase him. Went right down the field and scored. This guy has a short memory. He has a confidence about himself. People call it swagger or whatever, but it's an inner confidence. It's not arrogance, it's confidence. And you see it permeate into the guys on that team. That team has changed. And defensively, they're very good against the run. Of course, Pat does a great job mixing up looks, always putting pressures. And they play the run well, which matches up well. But also those looks, when you're ahead, and like they have been because of their explosion on offense, it allows you those different looks and blitzes causes, as I call them, become loose downs, where you can rush and do some things, and the other teams become one-dimensional because they can't just slow the game down. That makes their defense even better, in my opinion. And I think that's going to be a key for Pitt in this game. And I think they can get out to a lead and make Notre Dame where they don't control it all the way with the running game and and keep it away, because I always say this, it's two things. When you got an offense that's dynamic like Pitt's, it has a lot of skill guys. When you go sit for 6, 8, 9 minutes on the sideline because a team has pounded out a drive, man, it's hard to walk back out there and get hot again. It takes a special group. And it's just the same the other way when you score quickly on offense and you take a team who can be very methodical how they want to play and take the ball down the field. Now, Carr can throw it and make big plays, but they want to run it with love in the backs and do what they do. And all of a sudden you miss that 1 3rd down. All of a sudden you're eating time off the clock, or you kick a field goal, or you turn it over in the red zone, something, and then they score quick, and all of a sudden you're down 2 scores. It changes your whole game plan. Now, Carr has the ability to lead them back, which I think we saw at the end of the Miami game when they finally turned him loose that first game. So this game has a lot of intrigue to it, to me. I think it's two teams that are playing very Notre Dame lost the first 2 games, and I won 7 in a row or 8 in a row? I can't remember which it is.
8 in a row.
8, 7? Okay, so y'all don't even know. So y'all supposed to know all their stats. Daggone it. And Pitt, the same thing. Since they've made their change, they're 5. So you got 2 teams that are playing as well as they can play. Meeting, and that's what you want. That's for a fan perspective and a national perspective. You want to see it, and it has implications for who gets in the playoff, and makes it fun.
Jameis might have been a different guy, but when you have a freshman quarterback, how do you coach them to take appropriate risks versus protect the ball?
Well, I always say this. You can tell a quarterback, protect the football. Don't turn it over. Well, you don't make any plays. It's easy to go out there and not take a chance. I always say you got to play with aggressive intelligence. You got to understand on every throw, in every situation. We used to coach guys. I used to try to coach guys in what I call it safe zones. In other words, we want to make this throw, but if you miss here. If you miss here, miss high and away, or miss down and in, depending on what type of throw or what it is. Because you can't tell a guy, go out there, I want you to score touchdowns, but don't make a mistake. Well, that guy hasn't been invented. That guy has never been born. I don't care how great the quarterback we go back in the day and see. Everybody makes mistakes, and you got to let them play. And what they've got to have is a short memory. And then when they get to the sideline, what they have to understand is why they made the mistake. If they can tell you why they made a mistake, or you can explain it to them and they can comprehend it back to you, then those things can be fixed. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's what you have to give them free reign. You have to give them the rules, but you can't say, go, go, go. No, whoa, 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 whoa. Go, go, go. Whoa, whoa, whoa. You can't play that way. Nobody can in anything. And I think that's what makes these 2 guys, if you look at them, Heintschel's 4 interceptions, and Carr's 3 or 4 on a year. These guys haven't made a lot of mistakes, and the plays they make exceed the mistakes they make. You know what I'm saying? And you have to be there. You got to take some chances. But you got to make educated chances. And I think that's what both of these guys do, because I think they got a very, very high football IQ, both of them.
Well, coming from Pitt, Chris Ash, is there anything that you think he should be more worried about coming from Pitt's offense as far as the run game or the pass game?
I mean, you just better be here's the thing. All 4 guys that touch it, make sure you got Desmond Reed covered by somebody besides the linebacker. If he gets matched up on certain guys and how they move him out in the slot, move him in different places, bring him in the backfield, because all 3 of those Pitt receivers can get vertical and get down the field. So you got to play your nickels and dimes. That's what makes Desmond Reed in this offense so unique to me, is that the receivers, sometimes you can play a back like that, but they don't have dynamic receivers. So you can say, let me take a nickel, let me take a dime, we'll play him with a safety. You can't do that with their Pitt receivers. They get the ball vertical, and that's the matchup. Where do you got to, I think, switch it up and be multiple. And I always say this, I think that's what Patricia does at Ohio State very well, and he's brought from the NFL, that a lot of times in the NFL, now first and second down in the NFL is pretty, I'll say vanilla, but you don't get all that. But those 3rd down looks, those exotic looks, you're not getting what you see. When the ball snapped, you're getting changes. You know what I mean? With the different types of zones, and I think that's probably what they'll have to do, because the thing about Heintschel, all 4 of those guys at Pitt can hurt you when they get the ball, and he's making good decisions. So I think keeping multiple looks, maybe if you can make him, as people say, a free rush gets you, but sometimes a change of a coverage and making a quarterback hold the ball for that extra second allows that pressure to get there, or that sack to get there. Probably being multiple would be the best thing I would say.
If you were coaching against this Notre Dame team, what would be like your top 3 strategies to try to get the win?
Well, first of all, you have to respect the run. I mean, you got to know where Jeremiah Love is, and you got to say, we've got to take that away. I mean, take their strength away. But at the same time, you got to calculate that. I go back. Carr can throw the football, and he can throw it vertically. He's a big, strong guy, but he also can boot naked, move around pretty well. So I mean, you're going to have to, I think, edge pressures to put pressure on the quarterback, but also you're bringing single pressures that maybe they're not fire zones. They're like you'll bring a Sam dropping in. You'll still be in 8-man coverages, not get exploited, but you're changing the gaps up front in your blocking schemes when you do that. Because single blitzes, people don't realize, blitzes aren't always designed to get to the quarterback. They're also designed to change gaps in the run game that can create different twists in games and play some games inside to create the run game, give different looks, and not get Carr in a simple say, okay, if they're coming here, I'm in man. If they're here, always in 3. Kind of change those looks. And then I think attacking them down the field. I think where Notre Dame has given up some plays is in the passing game down the field against man coverage, and Pitt has dynamic guys. I mean, challenging them down the field and spreading the field and making them cover.
Coach, we talked about your last visit here in Pittsburgh. What about this environment, this atmosphere that really kind of struck you that you feel like would even be the same, if not enhanced? With
I think it'll be more enhanced today because I think that was the first game of the year. You didn't have you got the excitement, but these ramifications right now, you're talking about guys going to the national playoff. You're talking about 2 teams that are in the top. Pitt's 22, and I think they should be ranked higher. I really do. I know they had the critical loss, an important loss to West Virginia early that they had a game they had won. But other than that, Pitt's played great football. I think they should be ranked a little higher. And Notre Dame's in the playoffs, so I think the ramifications of this game. I think the crowd and listen, people. When I grew up, the best football in America was Western PA. I grew up in West Virginia, 100 miles down the road in Clarksburg, so I know what this area means and what Pennsylvania, Ohio, those steel mills and coal mines, that was the best football. You go back in the history of this city and this state of Pennsylvania, nobody can you put an all-time team together, then you can put Pennsylvanians up with anybody's and say, come play, come on. You can just line up, whether it's the offensive linemen, those 80 teams with Jackie Sherrill, with Covert and Sweeney and Mark May and Russ Grimm and Bill Fralick. Now Fralick came after them a little bit. Fralick was a little bit he was there. I remember Fralick was the best. He was the best. He was the best high school lineman maybe that came out. I mean, you go back and then you go to Aliquippa, just along with Tony Dorsett, Mike Ditka, Ty Law, and Revis. Those 4. I mean, you got 4 Hall of Famers from a community. I mean, I know what Western PA football is and the importance of it. It's going to be a loud crowd. The importance of it, and I'm glad to see Pat. I think Pat's doing a great job with this group. And exciting for them, and Marcus too. I mean, he's done a great job as a coach. It ought to be a great college football game.
So you and Coach Nick are West Virginia boys. You get along pretty good then.
Yeah, we do. We grew up 14 miles apart.
I was going to say,
we grew up 14 miles apart. Now Nick's 74. I'm saying we're 15 years apart, but we knew the same people. My grandfather grew up in the area where Nick did. My dad, and where I used to go, we went right through that. I always said this: Nick was here. And I was here 14 parts. You know who grew up 7 miles right in between us? John McKay.
There you go.
I mean, John McKay, the famous coach at USC, it was right in between us. We used to go there. But where he grew up down in that area, that's where my dad grew up out in as I say, the hills, the sticks, and the hollows. we're all lived up little hollows and coal mining town. That's what we did. Family was all coal miners and all that stuff.
I want to follow up on that though. You said about Western Pennsylvania being so dominant in football. I've always had the theory back in the day, if your dad was a steel worker, if he worked in a coal mine, you had that inherent toughness bred into you.
There is.
West Virginia. So playing football was fun in games compared to working in a steel mill.
Everybody said, why did all your coaches come out of there? They didn't want to go to the coal mine.
That's right.
I mean, you could go to the coal mine or go somewhere. You didn't want to work there. And listen, there's no easy, here I always say this, you hit it dead on the head. There's no easy way to be good in football. I don't care how talented you are, how gifted you are. There is a physicality and a toughness that comes with football and hard-nosed, tough, that you can't get away from. The great ones all have it. If you're going to play the game in a highlight, because if you're a talented guy who doesn't have it, that's the guys that get made fun of. That's the guys that never reach their potential. You always hear that. There's no easy way to be good at football. And don't think being a coal miner, being a steel worker, being a hardcore blue-collar guy doesn't. Your upbringing in that and being a farmer, things like that. You look at the Midwest and all the things that go on, or kids that grow up in hard situations in the cities that don't have things, that have to fight, scratch, and claw to get a meal, and that are willing to pay a price to go do things. Those guys have an advantage, in my opinion, in this sport because it's such a hard-nosed sport. And this part of the country, I think, that's why the Steelers are the Steelers. That's why Mike and I were on staff together.
Where at?
Cincinnati.
Uh-huh.
For 1 year.
Question?
I was an OC and he was a DB coach early in our career. And I went to work for Nick right after that. And he went to Tampa Bay.
So did you coach with Tyrone Dixon as well at Cincinnati?
No, I was not with Tyrone. I was not.
Okay.
I was there 1 year with Joe Daniels, who was here with Pitt back in the day with Marino. Joe Daniels is a Pittsburgh guy. The coach was around here. Larry Zerline, Mike, Rick Mentor, Jesse Mentor, the coordinator. He was a kid running around the office. during those days, back in the day. So
Yeah.
we're all a small community. Yes, sir. Anything else?
You mentioned.
We get back to the game, huh? We're talking about all the other stuff.
You mentioned about facing Aaron Donald in his last season here. In your coaching career, is he one of the most dominant?
Oh, without a doubt, because his ability to play the run at his size is so unique. I mean, he's not a big guy. I don't mean that we say a 6'1", or is he 6'1"? Maybe if he's 6'1". I mean, but probably about that 285, 90 pounds. I mean, you think of that as a big guy, but not in football standards. You know what I mean? To be a run-stopping guy that can rush the pass. He affected the game in so many ways, and that's what you knew. I mean, whether he could play the run, you couldn't, say, well, run away from a D tackle. Well, he was so athletic, he ran too. Sometimes it was better to run at it, could at least try to create a double team on him. You know what I mean? He used to try to, but he was so quick and he had a knack to get skinny, I called it. You know what I mean? He could turn his body and he was so athletic. He was like a skill guy. Then he could rush the passer. I mean, that guy is one of the, I don't know, college players, one of the best. Arguably, even if you put an all-time NFL team up there, he'd be one of your D tackles, one of your 2 or 3 D tackles. Maybe hearing the old guy used to play here named Joe Green.
Awesome. Thanks, Carr.
Thank you for checking out this content from Post-Gazette Sports. If you watch this video on YouTube, please like the video and subscribe to our channel. For all of the sports coverage the Post-Gazette has to offer, visit post-gazette.com.